Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault. And today we have well, it's kind of a monster review, but I'm saying it's not really a monster review. What we're looking at today are some specific items taken from the original Deities and Demigods, as used with typically Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, First Edition rules, or 1E. So, what items are we talking about? Well, there are three very specific items that come from the Celtic mythos within Deities and Demigods. Now, I'm not here to review the actual mythos. I'm reviewing some of the items that pop up in here because they're fun to use in adventures, and typically most people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Now, there's three specific items in the Celtic mythos that I'm going to talk about today, and the first one we're going to talk about today is the Tathlum. The Tathlum. And the Tathlum is a very strange item. It's something that anybody who is a worshiper of the Celtic gods can create. But it's pretty gruesome. So, what's a Tathlum? Well, a Tathlum is essentially a weapon that you use against people, very specific people. It's not like an arrow of slaying, but there's some similarities. And it all starts like this. First, you cut off the head of an enemy. Sounds like fun, right? I mean, if you're a fighter. You take that head and you soak it in a lime pool. So, coat it with lime. Now, that lime has to come from the territory of the person you killed. This is really all related back to, like, clan warfare and things like that, as related to the Celtic mythology. So, you roll it around in this lime pool until it's coated with lime, and then you have to let it sit and dry in the sun. After a week, it's dry, and you go back and you do it again. And you do it, I think, 3 or 4 times. Each time letting it sit for a week so that it sets up and hardens, and then you roll it in the lime pool again and do the whole process all over again. When you're done, and it's finally dried, you have a head-sized rock of lime, essentially. Now, once you have this rock of lime, you can throw it at somebody. This is how it works. If you throw it at somebody and you strike them, so you still have to hit them, and they are a person who lives in the same territory as the person you killed, you can do up to 1/4 of their hit points in damage in one throw. Pretty cool, right? Especially if it's a high-level target. Now, if it turns out that the person you throw it at is an actual blood relative of the person you killed to make this, it'll do half their hit points all in one shot if they are successfully struck. Now, like I said, anybody who is a Celtic god worshiper has the ability to make these. Now, is this going to come up very often? No. Could this be an interesting treasure, especially if you know what group of people it would be effective against? Yeah, it could be pretty cool. And, if you want to gross out the other people in your adventuring party and you have a Celtic god that you worship, well, you could make one of these. That should be fun. Something to talk about around the fire at night. And that's a pretty interesting item that comes from the Celtic mythos that you, too, can incorporate in one of your dungeons. Or force one of your hapless adventuring party members to pursue something from this because they just happen to have a Celtic god that they worship. So, all good fun. So what else are we talking about here? Well, let's talk about the torque of the gods. A torque of the gods is a special item available within the Celtic mythos that is a torque worn around the neck, made out of rare and special metals. So that's kind of up to you. Maybe it's mithril or electrum or platinum or something you just don't see every day. Auriculum, that's a real good one. And in the center of the torque, where it clasps around the neck, is a large cut gem. Now the gem type doesn't really matter, so as long as you have a rare metal and a big gem, and it's been made by a specific Celtic deity, then you can use it potentially. They're generally made for high-level worshippers and things like this. An example would be the magician Math, who wears a Torque of the Gods. Now, what does a Torque of the Gods do? Well, it allows its owner to shape change. Pretty cool right there, right? Yes, but on top of that, they can also polymorph other. Now, this is at will, so you're not limited as to how often you can do it within a given space of time. Needless to say, these are considered to be very rare and precious. And though nobody knows how many of these have been made, it is anticipated that is a very, very low number. Super precious, super powerful item. That, my friends, is the Torque of the Gods. And another item that you can add into an adventure or make the objective of a quest or something of that nature in one of your dungeons. Now, this is all here, right in Deities and Demigods. Pretty cool stuff. So the last item we're going to talk about today of these three is the Rod of Math. And once again, this is Math, the uber powerful magician within the Celtic mythos. He's like a 30th level magic user. Must have really irritated the hell out of Gary. But a very, very powerful magic user. And he has a rod. And a rod's very special. The rod allows him to polymorph any living creature into a pool of water if they don't make their save. A pool of water. Actually, that could be kind of useful if you're really thirsty. Now, the bad side effect is that if it is successful, the creature is turned into a pool of water permanently. And that could be a player character, it can be an NPC, it can be any living creature. Also would make one heck of a fun item in a quest, or the big bad guy has it, or something of that nature. It would be a fearsome weapon to go up against, especially with that permanency part. Very nasty. So, that's the Rod of Math. So, those are three items that you could use in a dungeon to really make it either worth the player's while or drive them crazy because they don't know what it is. And it's all right here in the Deities and Demigods. I know this is a underutilized book. The contents are definitely worth your time. And of course, one of the biggest problems in Deities and Demigods were the selection of some of the mythos that were still, so to speak, in use today. Was probably not the smartest direction to go at that time. So take that with a grain of salt. You don't have to use the deities, but there's a lot of cool stuff in here. There's a lot of creatures, a lot of items that you can use in your adventures, and the work's been done for you. So take a look. You may be pleasantly surprised by what you find. I think you will be. So that, my friends, is today's non-monster review. I guess I'm putting it in this slot mainly because it fits in easier since there's other creatures within Deities and Demigods that will also be and have already been appearing in reviews. We hope you found today's video to be interesting and educational and amusing and all that kind of good stuff. And if you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't. But most of all, come back and see us again real soon. We very much appreciate your kind support. Take care, everyone, and remember, dwarves rock!